Hey guys, how y'all doing? It's me, Johnny, and welcome back to another video. This time around, it is not based around my account and what I want to do with it or how my lineups have been going. It's basically me talking about some of the under 23 options that I really like going into the next season. So if you like under 23 and that's something you're interested in, stick around because this could be quite interesting for you. And it will be probably involving a bunch of players that I might end up buying throughout this summer period as well. So let's dive straight into it. First of all, before we do anything, huge shout out to SorareData themselves. As you guys know, SorareData is the platform that you have to be on in order to be able to play Sorare properly. Honestly, trust me, it's basically impossible to be quite as successful as you can be with SorareData when you try and be successful without it. So if you do want to sign up for it, make sure to use the link in the description down below and use the code Johnny. That really massively helps me out. So I do really appreciate you guys, and hopefully it will help you to, move ahead and build some incredible lineups with all the information that you're getting from SorareData. One new thing that they have recently put in is if you go into the lineup builder and you press the historical button, it actually now kind of showcases you your lineup cost, your lineup score. Like, this is something I really, really do like. For example, in game week 367, this lineup would have cost me 234, and you can see that it only scores 144 there for me. So clearly that is not good enough. I need to do better with my players. I need to be more successful with my cap 240 lineups, but threshold wise, obviously I'm going to try and aim to do better as we move forward. This is something that I really like that SorareData has introduced. It makes things a lot more clearer as well and gives you all the data that you actually need. So really happy with how things are going here. If we go into this one, for example, your lineup cost 252. Wouldn't have been able to put that lineup in, but it would have gotten 254 points in game week 359. So a really good way to kind of see historically how your lineups would have done, especially in the capped competitions. But you can also use this detail on the All-Star Rare Pro Division. Obviously, the new graph coming in here once again, showcasing if you would have made it into any of the rewards sections with the teams that you are putting together. Going back here once again, like, I love the fact that you can just scroll through all these and see how historically your lineup would have been able to do. In game week 331, it seems like the boys would have done really well, and it shows you the scores of the players as well. Would have put me into the 28th position for a tier 1. So yeah, the platform just keeps on improving. Just wanted to put that in there. But now let's start off with some under 23 goalkeepers I actually really like. First of all, we're going to do this by utilizing the watch list feature on SorareData, and we're going to start off with the goalkeepers that I think will be doing extremely well in the upcoming season. So let's start off with the one that I think is in a great spot, but only has 1 year of under 23 left. It is Yevan Diouf, who has been nothing short of incredible for their squad. Yes, lately the last 4 scores haven't been great for his side, but for the majority of the season, this was a goalkeeper you could really rely on, and a goalkeeper that would bring you some really high scores. Alongside with that, I believe they are looking to improve their defense even more in the transfer window. Players like Formose Mendy have been massively linked to the Rome team, and for that reason, I'm thinking, you know what, there could be a nice under 23 stack going on there. But checking out their latest game here, Agbadu, if you don't want to necessarily only use him on under 23, and sometimes you want to use him in different divisions as well, you have players like this who score extremely well that you can pair him up with, and for only 150 euros for a rare, those are some really nice scores, if I might say so. But yeah, I really like him. I don't think this guy is on under 23. Abdelhamid clearly isn't. He's 35. The Smith is 24. Was he under 23 this season? No, he wasn't. But there might be a couple of players that come in next season that you could be using for yourself here. This guy, Kajus, 23 years old. So there are a couple of opportunities possibly in the upcoming season. But this one, for me, is the clear winner when it comes to under 23 goalkeepers. And here's the reason why. Obviously, a lot of you guys have seen that for Anderlecht, he has been hitting some amazing scores because Anderlecht, as I bought their players, a bunch of their players going into the season, like Verscharen and Delcroix and all these guys, and it all came crashing down. They were horrible at the back and just conceding too many goals and not necessarily scoring enough. But Verbruggen has come in and shown some incredible performances at times, really showcasing his worth. And I am hearing rumors of Bayern Munich wanting to sign him and loan him out to Anderlecht for one more season. Like, this could potentially, I'm not saying he will be, but this could potentially be someone that has an amazing career path moving forward. And I do think he is a great under-23 option. And I especially do believe that wherever he goes in the upcoming season, if he does leave the side, I don't think he's going to sit on the bench. So, yeah, Company obviously has seen him play. Maybe Company wants to get him to Burnley to play in the Premier League. That could be something as well. But obviously, Company brought Muric along with him there. So there are a couple of things to keep in mind. But yeah, Bad Verbruggen, in my opinion, is going to be a great option. Don't get me wrong. Like, obviously, Diogo Costa is great. I personally own his card. He is amazing. I think he is one of the more reliable ones. Like, you can play matchups really well with Diogo Costa because obviously he's part of one of the better clubs out there. But I think he might be a bit too much of a premium for a couple people to get invested in, considering that he only has under 23 until 2024. I don't know if you ideally want that. I do own him. I think he's going to be great next season. And I think generally speaking, he's just going to be a great goalkeeper moving into the future. So again, you can get Costa as well, obviously. But these are the two that I kind of wanted to showcase. They're a bit lower on the price range, especially Diouf with the 858 on the rare and Verbruggen with 1,200 on the rare as well. Now, let's dive into some defenders that I believe could be doing really well next year. Going into the defender section, there are a couple that I truly believe in. I think one of the most elite ones is going to be De Ligt. Now, he has under 23 running out by the next season's end. So you have a full season ahead of yourself to see him do well. And honestly, guys, of course, Bayern Munich have not necessarily been exceptional at defending and not conceding. Basically, ever since Neuer has gotten injured and since they have not necessarily brought in any defensive midfielders, that has been a big issue. But for Bayern Munich specifically, the biggest transfer target they have going into the summer is the striker position. And then after that, it is definitely a defensive midfielder. That is a position that they desperately want to increase strength in and allow Kimmich to play a bit more freely, a bit more offensive possibly, or at least support him in his defensive duties, because Kimmich is just not a CDM, so to say. He's not necessarily someone that just goes after tackle, interception after interception, and duels won. That is just not him. He is an amazing ball distributor. So I think next season, first of all, with Manuel Neuer coming back, he's already training, so he's probably going to be there next season. Tuchel has been, there have been news that Thomas Tuchel is going to be relying on Manuel Neuer being the #1 next season, and Neuer wants to desperately play in the championship, in the, European Championship? Or, yeah, I think it is the European Championship that's going to take place in Germany next. So having all that in mind, with a new defensive midfielder coming in at Bayern, with a striker coming in and that's actually going to, put some fear into opponents as well, for them to sit possibly even deeper than they are sitting right now against Bayern Munich, with a defensive backline who are going to be much better than this season, without all these mistakes that certain players have been making, especially Upamecano and these guys, with Lucas Hernandez coming back as well as a defensive option. If I have to say one player is going to be the one that is going to be set and playing every game, in my opinion, it's going to be De Ligt. Bayern fans absolutely love him. There have been calls for him to become the captain of the team as well. I've seen that on social media many, many times, hundreds of times now. So I think De Ligt with Bayern Munich, as strong as they are, with things changing in the transfer window, with Neuer's comeback as well, I honestly do believe that De Ligt is going to be an amazing, amazing option for under 23. This is someone that can score goals. He has been scoring goals lately, which is amazing, especially considering that they have been long shots. This is someone that can get those, last man tackles, clearance off the lines, assists and all that, because he pushes forward into the opponent's half quite a bit. And I do fully believe that we're going to see a bunch more 70s, 80s, 90s from the likes of De Ligt in the upcoming season. So that is my #1 choice. I own him. I am obviously biased as a Bayern fan, but I do think Bayern is going to be much stronger next season. Going into the next one, we're going to go to Mr. Consistent. I mean, at least up until the last few games. Nico Schlotterbeck is incredible. Dortmund is really, really good. It looks like they are going to lose out on Jude Bellingham. He's apparently going to be joining Real Madrid. That is obviously going to be impacting their team's performance. It's really going to be a big question of seeing how Dortmund handle things. I mean, he is injured. He has a hamstring injury, so I would fully expect him to be back in the next season, not necessarily this season. But this is a great player. Again, just like De Ligt, under 23 until 2024. So that is another one that I truly believe in. And these scores just speak for themselves. I think he's going to continue being very, very good next season. Maybe not as consistent, don't get me wrong. But I think this is a player that you're going to look at and be like, yeah, I'm going to get 70 minimum in this certain matchup. And this is someone that is also very decisive capable. Like, he pushes into the opponent's 16. That is the type of centre-back he is at times, which is obviously a bit mad. But at least he is getting those decisive. So Nico Schlotterbeck is amazing. And then this one might be a little bit more under the radar. Bella Kotchap, considering that he is playing for a Southampton team that gets smacked week in, week out, and basically is going to be getting relegated for sure into the championship. This is a youngster that is 21 years old, has a contract until 2026 at Southampton. A lot of teams might be looking at him and thinking about signing him up, but I do think it's going to be a bit too early. I think when Southampton goes down, there are going to be a bunch of players that are going to stick around with this team whose scores are going to be much better next time around. And I do think Southampton is going to, rework things a little bit and keep some of the beasts they have, or at least try to. And I think we're going to have a Bella Kotchap there who's going to be playing a huge part in their chase to go back up into the Premier League. I can see his scores becoming very, very similar to the likes of Jordan Bayer or Taylor Harvard-Bellis at Burnley this season. I think these scores, considering that his team has been smacked around so many times with so many goals, I think he is doing really well in a very, very bad team this season. So Bella Kotchap in the championship, if he sticks around, that is another one of the defenders I wanted to showcase to you guys. Just once again, running through a couple of talents that I really, really do believe will do well next season. And don't be surprised if I have them in my gallery, because obviously I'm buying for long term as well. So yeah, these were the defenders. Starting off with the midfielders, I would say Arda Güler is going to be possibly the one. Like, this obviously comes down to if he stays at Fener. I personally, as a fan of his, kind of want him to move to a European side, but not necessarily to a team like, I don't know, freaking Premier League or something. Ideally, I would want him to go to a side like Ajax, to go to a team like Bruges, something like that, where he can genuinely start every single game and actually become what he's supposed to be. And that is one of the best playmakers in world football. Like, this guy has the talent. He has shown it many, many times. If you look at his starts, he just gets things done for his team. Even looking at just AA, you're looking at someone in a center attacking midfield position who can get 71 points. These are the types of scores you kind of expect from a player like Karl Schill on Sorare. I think this guy with longevity on his side, he's only 18 years old. He has been held back for long enough. He's now becoming a player that plays in a Turkish national team as well, and is getting a lot of eyes on him lately through scouts. I really, really hope that he goes to a team where he is going to get that play time, where they are going to rely on him becoming a beast. And even if he stays at Fener, I love the kid. I think he's going to do really, really well. I think if you're looking for someone who can get those hundreds, I think this is going to be the guy next season. Obviously, depending on the team he plays for, but I think Arda Güler is going to be massive. Then, moving on from that, we're going to go to someone who is extremely consistent and does really well in his position. Moses Caicedo, a player that is linked to big clubs, a player that was linked to Arsenal, to Liverpool in the previous season, who has just recently extended his contract at Brighton. And Brighton are in a position where they can actually go ahead and play European football this upcoming year. And I do think he's going to stick around for at least one more year. So you can look at someone that can get you 60, 70s through just a game. Someone that you can really rely on being part of a team that is just exceptional lately tactically. Like when we're looking at Brighton and the way they are playing, the results that they are getting, this guy plays a massive role in that. Him, McAllister, Solly March, Pascal Gross, even freaking Danny Welbeck. Like these guys are doing something incredible. And I think Brighton, if they can keep a hold of a bunch of their starting 11 players like McAllister and Caicedo, especially going into European football next season, having that as an argument on their side to keep these players, you might be looking at some really good scores from players like Caicedo. You are not necessarily getting the hundreds off of him, right? I don't think he's going to be 100 capable like Arda Güler, but I really, really like the consistency in him. Now, obviously, if you want to win the best rewards, I think players like Caicedo, players like Enzo Fernandez, these guys are going to be able to get you that with an 80 plus a couple of times a season, but they're not going to be as consistent in being able to give that to you. Even if they have an amazing matchup, sometimes their team might be too dominant for them to get some good AA games. So I don't know if this is a perfect solution for many, but in terms of watching a player that you own, I think Moises Caicedo is extremely satisfying to watch, and a player that I'm going to keep on my mind, especially as a super rare. I think this guy would be a beast. Like, I personally would love to own a super rare. If that opportunity ever comes up, I would love to bring him into my club. Moving on from that, another Mr. Consistent. And you can see he doesn't necessarily have those down scores like Caicedo does at times. This is Mr. Consistent. This is a player that you want to have as a super rare, but Ugarte is not necessarily having too many cards on the market yet. Only 59 limiteds, 15 rares, 0 super rares, and 0 uniques. I mean, they have to get on it. Sorare has to get these cards out there as fast as possible. We need these cards to be auctioned. And I think the last auction... Oh, hold on. Has it... When was the last auction? Seller... Sorare. Last one was 5 months ago. Whoa. Okay, so this guy's really scarce. Now, there are links for him to move to clubs like Liverpool, for example. He's linked to go there and join Darwin Núñez and become part of the Uruguayan duo there. But I think Ugarte is really good in what he does. I've watched him a couple of times due to having Adan as Sporting's goalkeeper. Yes, watching your goalkeeper is painful, but I still do it at times. I don't know why. Don't ask me. But Ugarte, I think, is an extremely, extremely consistent and great player. Again, you're not getting those insanely high highs, but when he does get a decisive, it does push you up big time because he has such a high baseline. So you're looking at, like, I don't know, what is this? There it is. So 56.8. If you put one decisive on top of that, you're already looking at those 80 plus scores. So I really, really like him. I think he's an amazing player. I think he's only going to get better. And I honestly do believe he's going to evolve as a player and not just be a defensive beast, but also someone that can actually carry the ball forward and do things. Because as you get older, you get more confident in your defensive play style. You get a bit more risky moving forward. And yeah, I think that's going to be a great player. Then one under the radar that I should not show you guys. I really do not want to show you this one, but I am doing it. I want this guy's super rare. I'm going to say it right now. This is someone that I would love to have his super rare off. It is Facundo Cáceres, a player that used to play at Vélez Sarsfield, a talent. What is it? They have so many incredible talents at their club, like coming through. So many players at Vélez right now, you can look at and be like, oh, this could be a big one in the future. This could be a big one in the future. So starting off at the back, Ortega, decent talent. Valentin Gomez, big talent. And then moving forward, you have players like, where is he? Where's the one that I'm thinking about? So Julian Fernandez has even high potential in FIFA, but Prestiani is the one that everyone talks about these days. This guy, another one that has come through Vélez, and these types of players seem to come through there all the time. And Facundo Cáceres, guys, this is someone that was extremely under the radar this season. Only recently has been having rare cards come onto the market. Wait, super rare on the market? Oh, someone won it. Who won that super rare? I might have to contact that person. I really want to have a super rare. Who won it? FCGB Forever. But yeah, like, this is someone who is very consistently above those 70s. I like that. I really, really do. Now, don't get me wrong. Istra is not an amazing team, but I've watched a couple of games due to the fact that I've watched Barisic play against him. I was watching that game, Osijek against yeah, there we go. Osijek against Istra. And I was watching this guy and I was like, wow, he is just getting insane amounts of scores and doing so well in that league. And if we look at some of the stats in the division, I think he has like the most tackles, if I'm not mistaken. So 1 tackles, 32. He's on 27. He's in the 2nd position there. And I think fouled, he was top. Yeah, 43 times he has been fouled this season. That gets you a dual 1 if you guys don't know. So that's really good scores. Doubles. He should be up there as well. He's there. See, not too far down the list. Right below Barisic with 4. In triple doubles, is he part of that? Yes, he is. He is number 4 in the league, just below Barisic. So I am looking at this guy and I'm thinking, yes, please, let me get this player. He's a bit under the radar, but as more and more of his cards get minted, might be someone for you guys to pick up as well as a hidden gem. But please, let me have that super rare first. I would really appreciate it. And he has under 23 until 2025, which I really do like as well. And that AA game really impresses me. So yeah, I'm very happy with this one as an option for the next season. And again, I'm not saying these guys are going to be amazing, every single one of them. I'm just saying these are ones that I personally like going into the next year. But let's move to forwards. Starting off with Florian Wirtz. Now, he is someone that has midfield and forward cards. If you can get a hold of his forward cards, you are looking good. Now, a bunch of people might be like, hey, maybe he's going to move to a different team. He's not going to be as good and everything. But from what I have heard in German media and from what he apparently has said himself as well, he wants to stay at Leverkusen in the next season as well. And Leverkusen have done extremely well in their recent form to get themselves back up into the top 10 and into the top 6. And they are going to be trying their best to stay within that range to make it possible to play European football next season. So again, Florian Wirtz could be having midweek utility. Obviously, they are through in the Europa League, I believe. They are through into the next round there as well. If I'm not mistaken, that was a Europa League matchup between them. Let me just double check here. Was it Europa League or Conference League? Leverkusen, their last matchup, their Europa League. Yeah, if they do win the Europa League, as far as I remember, that qualifies them for the Champions League, if I'm not mistaken. So keep that in mind as well. But Florian Wirtz is an incredible, incredible player. We all know that. Anyone that has watched him play, anyone that has 2 eyes in their heads, is capable of realizing the unbelievable potential in this guy. He takes set pieces. He plays the most insane through balls and has a footballing IQ that is just extremely high and is capable of dribbling past people in insane ways. So I'm thinking, as this kid gets older, gets physically stronger, gets even smarter than he is now, the only way is up. Like, if he ends up at a team like Bayern Munich at some point, for example, this guy is going to be rocking it in the under 23s for such a long time. Up until 2027, you have utility off. And his midfield card ain't too bad either. Like, the midfield card gets some great scores as well. Don't get me wrong. But I personally think under 23 forwards are really hard to come by. And getting really good ones is hard to do. And I think Florian Wirtz should be at the top of that list. In terms of my opinion, I think he's one of the best talents in world football. Moving on from that, I think it's 2 easy ones. Vini Jr. at Real Madrid up until 2025. Actually, he has utility. I think he's going to just keep on doing what he's doing. He's going to be extremely successful. And yeah, the trajectory is only going up for Vini Jr. And it's someone that has already won so many titles as well at this young age. And I fully expect him to continue rocking it out for Real Madrid. One that might be a little bit underrated in my opinion is Rodrigo. I think Rodrigo, out of Vini Jr. and Rodrigo, I personally like Rodrigo more. I understand Vini is doing incredible things, but I like Rodrigo a lot more. I don't know what it is about this guy, but I think he's going to be very, very good going into the next year as well. I think he's going to get a lot more starting play time. This is someone that plays on that right wing, even at striker, for Real Madrid when Benzema gets injured, which happens quite frequently lately. But Rodrigo, I think with Real Madrid, is a beast. I fully expect him to do well. When he starts, he can get these scores, obviously, but I think he's going to get to a level where he's going to be very consistent as well. And I think many Brazilian footballing legends have said themselves that Rodrigo is someone to look out for. I've read enough articles about it, and I do think he's going to be very good next year. I'm not necessarily saying he's going to be exactly as good as Vini Jr., but I think his form is going to keep on going up. Then Feyenoord, I watched tons of games this season for Feyenoord. If you're looking for someone that can at least get you a decisive most of the time, this is your guy. Santiago Jimenez. He is under 23 until 2025. He is someone that I personally really enjoy watching. My only worry is that someone else might pick him up, but I think he has to play at least one more full season at Feyenoord, because even this season, only later into the year, he has started most of the games back to back. So I think next year, Santiago Jimenez could be the top scorer in the Eredivisie possibly, and then he moves over to a different team. He's extremely talented and good in what he does. Great finisher of the ball, and even for his size, he's capable of getting past people. So I think I really like him. And I think he's going to have a lot more of those games where he gets like 2 decisives in the upcoming season. I think Danilo is only loaned in at Feyenoord, if I'm not mistaken. So if Danilo leaves, maybe he plays a lot more games until the 90th minute. And yeah, I only see his form go up as well, because Feyenoord, yes, they might lose out on a couple of players, but I have some good youth coming through, especially with Vifa and such, replacing the likes of Kutchu possibly. But yeah, Jimenez is a beast. This one is someone I only heard of because Nep won him at some point, and he kept using him, and this guy kept scoring. And I have now heard the news that Mattia Frigan, his deal going to Zagreb is nearly through. So he is going to the best team in the league. He is an under 23 until 2027. This is a striker who has been capable of scoring really well for a team that isn't necessarily the best in the division, right? So his team, Rijeka, is 3rd in the division, and he's going to move to a team that are extremely dominant. Now, Dinamo Zagreb have a couple of players, obviously, in that attacking position who are decent, but Petkovic is 28, right? He's not necessarily, you know, coming up with incredible numbers. Drimic is someone who was playing in the Bundesliga a couple of times, never really made it. So I'm personally thinking Frigan could come in here and do an exceptional job for them. This could be someone that they bring in now, build up for 1 or 2 years, and sell for big money. So I'm thinking this kid in that Zagreb dominant side could be bringing up these consistent numbers and even more in the upcoming season. So I'm definitely keeping an eye on him throughout the summer period. So then moving forward to Gabriel Martinelli, a player that I personally just believe has incredible talent. I think he is someone that Arsenal can be happy about not bringing in Mudryk and taking playtime away from him. Yes, Trossard has been coming on and playing a bunch of games for Arsenal as well, taking a bit of playtime away from him. But in terms of someone who can get those crazy moments in game where he gets past a couple of people and plays a pass or assists or just scores the goal himself, I personally admire Martinelli, and he plays in one of the strongest teams in the Premier League as we speak. Arsenal obviously had a great run, and you can tell there from his scores as well. He had a great run lately, which is something I personally expected a lot more out of him. These types of games have been too many times before, and ever since Trossard has come in and put a bit more pressure on him, he has stepped up his game. So I think Martinelli is great. I really do like him. Not my favorite option, but one to keep an eye out on. And then Mr. Injury, we have Doku. Doku recently just smashing it up in League 1. The only issue with this guy is just injuries, man. He's made of glass. So if you want to take a risk of him staying healthy, and he does stay healthy, well, you're going to be a happy man, because this kid can do really, really well, as we can see during these periods right here. He can get you those hundreds, because this is someone that just sprints past people. 1v1, one contests, duels won, all those things are really going in his way. And this is ideally someone you might want to take a risk on if his price drops a little bit more. But recently, once again, his price has picked up again. This is someone that gets hyped extremely fast within the community, and people know of him. So be careful with this one. Injury prone and all that stuff. So yeah, but having said all that, guys, I'm going to put all these players in front of you one more time. How do I filter this? Can I filter this in some way? Anyways, no there. Position. Ranking position, worst to best. Is that something you can do? I have no idea what that actually does. Anyways, let's go from price. Rare, highest to lowest. So the most expensive player on this list is Vinny Jr., Florian Wirtz, Bart Verbruggen, Schlotterbeck in the top 4. These are the players that I'm going to keep an eye out for the next season. Ideally, I would like to pick up a bunch of these. Just one more thing on the Croatian talents. I think the Croatian league comes back quite soon. Oh, I don't think I've talked about Barcola. Barcola is someone that I'm actually excited about as well. I watched a bunch of Olympique Lyon games this season due to Cherki. And at first, I didn't like him. I really did not like him. But then he has matured into making a lot more better decisions. Just keep an eye out on Barcola. He is someone capable of those 75 pluses. And yeah, he's really good. He's fast. He's great at dribbling. It's just the decision-making that lets him down at times. And obviously, Olympique Lyon, not the strongest team. And yeah, just another mention that I wanted to put in there. But yeah, those are the players I personally think could do really well next season. Obviously, there are a lot of names that are going to do extremely well next year. These were the ones that just came to my mind. So I wanted to showcase them to you guys. Yeah, that's me done. Have a good day. I'll catch you on the next one. Take care and peace.